What is going on, you guys? I hope you're all having an embraceful day. Today, I want to start working back with carbon fiber. Since I am going to try and repair my carbon fiber trunk, I'm going to try and see what I can do, see if I'm able to salvage that trunk. And the last piece we ever did with carbon fiber was we were working on my center console. I didn't get to finish it. We did this piece right here with carbon fiber already. We laid the top piece, but like I mentioned, if you guys watched that video, this has to be laid in like 3 pieces. It has to be this piece individual, and then the whole entire piece as another. So where I left off in the last video, we're gonna have to sand down all this tape right here to kind of expose the carbon fiber. And what I kind of have planned, what at least I want to get done, is this front part right here. We might be able to start doing the piece all the way around it, but for now I want to focus my attention on the front piece. So I just got done trimming it all off all the way around. Now before we start putting the epoxy onto here and then the fiberglass sheet or the fabric, whatever you guys want to call it, since I don't want the fabric or resin to get on this edge right here, because I mean the top piece that goes on here needs to sit flush around the edges all the way around here. I mean, I don't need to cover that or anything like that. I mean, just gonna make the cleaning process a lot longer to do. So what I kind of like learned to do is just tape it up like on this edge right here where I want the carbon fiber to end, and then I'm gonna fill this in with clay, all this clay that's right here. I'm gonna fill in all this gap, focuses, all this right here. That way the cleaning process is a lot quicker and I don't have to take the time to Dremel all that out. So I'm gonna put the tape and then I'm gonna put the clay, and I'll show you guys what the final product looks like before we put the epoxy and then the fabric on top of it. As you guys are able to tell now, look at that clean, perfect line. No resin is gonna get underneath there all the way around. I did put a little bit excess, that way it covers all these like small little holes where the top piece is supposed to clip into. So I covered those too. Doesn't look pretty, but I mean, it gets the job done. As long as that line is super perfect and straight, it's gonna reduce the amount of work I have to do cleaning this piece up, because I mean, once I sand it down all the way up to this line, the clay is easily removable, a lot easier than resin, because resin you have to sand, the clay you can basically take it off with your hand. So now what I'm going to do is, all this is already cleaned, it's already all ready to go. We're going to start putting the resin on here. Fabric is right there. We're going to wait till it gets tacky. Once it's tacky, we'll put the fabric, we'll lay it on here, and we'll get it sitting right. Also, I did forget to mention, there's 2 ways that you can get the fabric to stick. You can put the epoxy, or you can use this 3M Super 77 adhesive. You can spray it on there, get the fabric formed to shape, and then you can put the resin over it. Sometimes, like, something that I've kind of learned that this doesn't really work for me is because when I spray this, I spray it on here, I put the fabric, I put the resin tends to get heated, like really hot, and that causes the fabric to pull and lift up. So some tips that I kind of learned was to put the epoxy, once I put the epoxy, once it gets tacky, like by the touch, I can not pull any epoxy off, but you can leave your fingerprint. I put the Super 77 adhesive spray onto here, right over that, and then I put the fabric onto here. So that's something that I've learned that kind of helps. Just so you guys know, there is 2 different ways that you guys can do it. I'm sure you can do the other way as well, which is vacuum forming, but that is a little bit more difficult and you need a lot more stuff than hand laying. Honestly, the only thing that really sucks about carbon fiber stuff is waiting around till it gets tacky, because if you just leave it like this, let it sit, you go do something else and it gets hardened, you're gonna have to resand it, redo it again. So it kind of sucks that you do have to wait around, make sure that you know when it's going to get tacky. You see all that excess resin that's on the clay? See, all of that would have been sunken in, and you would have to later sand it all down with the Dremel. It would have taken a lot more time and it would have sucked. So put some clay, whatever you don't want to get any resin on, because it's going to make it a bitch to take it off. So now I'm gonna wait for all of that to harden, to fully harden, since it is in tacking mode right now. It is a little bit lifting up right here on these edges. It's not really a big deal, since you're not really going to be able to see like the gaps from here anyways, but I'm still going to be pushing these down every single like minute or so until it gets like fully like tucked in there. So once it gets fully hardened, we'll put the epoxy right over it, and we should be good with this front face. And then once we're good with that, we'll have to trim it down, sand it down, all this excess. That way this piece is combined with this piece. Something I'm not sure, I don't think I mentioned, I did make sure that I lined up the pattern. Same pattern makes it flow through here, so whenever I do this piece, I'm gonna have to make it flow as well. That way it looks like it's all one whole individual piece. So I have left the material to dry completely overnight, because I did get a late start to yesterday, and by the time it was already hardened, the sun had already gone down. But as you guys can tell, if I try to lift the material right here, it's already held down with resin. So now I gotta do is put top coat of resin so it fully hardens up here. Same thing that how we did it back up here. This only has one coat. This I'm only gonna do it one coat as well, and then we'll do one coat on this all the way around, and then we'll complete the whole coats like all together. That way it's all uniform in one entire piece. Right here I did go a little bit extra, since I will be cutting it, sanding it down all the way around the edges right here, just to make sure it gets enough coverage, because I did leave decent amount of coverage so it still bites onto the other material and kind of like blends in together. So we're gonna put a coat of resin here, wait for that to dry, and then trim this piece up. So I just got done trimming it all, and putting the clay makes it a lot easier. As you guys can tell, all you have to do is just run your fingers through here, take off all the clay, trim it down all the way to the edge of the here. As you guys can tell, I mean, it's a perfect clean line all the way across, even in here. I kind of try to blend it in right here on this side just a little bit, because I mean we're still going to be putting the carbon fiber fabric on this side, which is going to blend into this piece, going to cover like from this corner right here. So it's still good right there. The only problem that I had with this was I did eat through a little bit right here on this corner right here. I mean, the top piece that goes right here is going to be covering that, and it's not really going to be noticeable, since I mean, even though the whole entire thing is black, so you won't be able to see it that much. On this corner I didn't eat through it, but look how good it blends in. Look at that. Perfect transition from the top piece to the bottom piece. I'm so proud on how this came out, because this is two separate pieces. From up here to down here, it's two different pieces, and I mean you can't even tell the difference. Put some more spray. Look at that. Perfect transition. So proud, so happy. So this piece is completely done with this piece. I just need to scuff in this part up right here, because I mean it still does have the top coat of the resin, and in order to put more resin you gotta sand it down and sand it down and put some more resin on top of it. But that's until the last final stage. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna get this cleaned up again, because some resin did fall down right here. I try to clean it up right now as much as possible. There's still some resin here, and we're gonna apply the fabric or the resin through here and the fabric all the way through here, and it's gonna carry on to the back all the way to this side. So it's gonna carry on all the way from here all the way to here. So when we do the other side, we'll do the same thing all the way to here, all the way to the other side. That way this full piece will have 2 layers of carbon fiber, just in case if I eat through one, it's still gonna have a second layer right there. So this is gonna be a multi 4-part layer of carbon fiber. So it's gonna have 1, 2, 3, and then 4 on the other side. If this one you want to count, it's 5. But damn, this part is freaking crazy to do. But I'm getting the hang of it. Learning how to work with different multiple layers of carbon fiber and lining up the match pattern from like this piece to this piece. So Super proud of how it's coming out. I've been working on this whole carbon fiber center console for the past 2 weeks, 2 weekends that is, and it's completely wrapped all the way around with carbon fiber. It doesn't look nice, not yet, but it's completely wrapped, which is the main goal that I wanted to do before I started laying the resin all together. So I will have to put modeling clay all the way around here. That way we don't get any resin onto there. This piece is done, but there is some things that I do want to go over and kind of like clarify with you guys, because I mean, this isn't a 100% job, but this is my first time actually trying something combination of different pieces of fabric mixed together. So this right here was laid as one piece all the way to the back, all the way to this side, so I cut it off right here. The other side I went the same thing. It's just I ran out short and it ended up right here, which I'll explain right now a little bit more. Well, might as well, I guess I'll explain. So my intentional plan of laying this one was supposed to come all the way to this corner right here, and I was going to trim it off so it was a clean line right here. But unfortunately, when I was laying it, I put too much material on that side and not enough material on this side, leaving it to come up right here. It may look ugly to you guys, but if I were to put some prep spray, you guys will see that it's gonna, it doesn't, you can't even see that there's a seam there. Watch, it acts like a clear, and look at that, you can't even tell that there's a seam because I lined up the fabrics really nice that the pattern like continues all the way to the other sheet. So I did a really good job on that. But like I mentioned, once this all goes away, it looks like shit. But once the clear or I lay some more resin on here, it's gonna look like that. It's gonna look glossy and whatnot. Something else that I want to note: when I laid the other piece right here, I laid it and I made it reach all the way up to here, which it blended in as well with this other piece. But when I was trimming it off right here, I did gouge a little bit of the material right there, a little bit on this side as well. But I'm not going to go over this whole entire thing again with carbon fiber because it was a pain to do. And right here, got a little gouge as well. This top piece, I don't really care about it too much. It is pretty in good condition, except for right here. I did sand too much into the carbon fiber. But overall, this whole top piece, watch, let me put some prep spray so you guys can see it all. So that's the top piece. Looks really good if you put the resin on it. Whenever you put resin on it, that is. Put the front. Look at that. Look at that transition. Really good. Just like I mentioned, those gouges, which you won't even be able to tell. Only you guys will be able to know, because now that I mentioned it, now it's gonna, I mean, you guys will be able to notice it. Not really, but if you pay attention really close, you'll be able to notice it. So this whole entire thing is like completely wrapped up in carbon fiber, which I'm really excited for being able to do it for my very first time, mixing 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces of carbon fiber onto here to make it match together. I also took the liberty of removing the cardboard that I had right here, drilling out the hole that this piece bolts onto, so that would go right here, and bam, look at that, latched on. It's latched on there, so I have to push it to open it. Perfect all the way around. So the next clip you guys will see is when this piece is going to be completely done, because now I got to take my time to cover all this up so I don't get any resin on it, and I'm going to do the tedious process of laying resin on there. So the next clip you guys will see, this piece will be completely done. So supposedly the next clip that you guys were going to see, this whole entire thing was going to be done. I ran into one little issue, which you guys will be able to see right now. You see how different of shades of color there is? If there's like a decent amount of shade, you won't really be able to tell. It looks like really nice, but when there's sunlight, you're able to tell like little, like some spots are darker than others. But if you were to look like right here, look, you can't even tell. You can't even tell it's like that. So put it back like this. But if you take really close of look, the reason for that, well, you won't be able to tell through the camera, but in person, you're able to see that the resin is a little yellowish, or like there's, I mean, it's not super clear. And the reason for that is because I barely ended up finding out that this resin that I've been using has a slight tint of yellow, and it blemishes a little bit. So that's the reason why it's coming out like this. And this is the first time I actually noticed it. So I don't know why. I don't know if it's the mixture, the way that I mixed it, but this is the resin that I use right here. Watch. This is the resin that I use from Composite Envisions. It's that, and then this resin right here, as you guys can tell, is like yellowish. But supposedly, I thought when I bought it Well, this was when I was first working with carbon fiber, so when I bought it, I didn't really pay attention if it was gonna come out clear or if it was gonna come out like yellowish. I mean, everything that I saw online, it had like a tint of yellow, and the resin was clear, and the hardener was like a tint of yellowish and whatnot. But from doing a little bit more research, there is certain things that you can use for the hardener to be clear, so everything's gonna come out clear, super clear, just a little bit more expensive. So this that you guys see right here, this is a gallon, this is a quart, I believe. This all totaled into like 60 bucks. Right here I have some pigment, but that's aside the point. This was, no, not 60, it was like about 80 bucks, this right here. And what I bought recently just right now, so I'll probably be getting into the next weekend, which I'm going to stop working on the center console. I'm just going to sand it all back down and wait for the resin to come. That equaled at about 114 it came out to with shipping and everything. And that's only a quart of resin and a quart of whatchamacallit, hardener, which is a lot more expensive, but supposedly it's supposed to be a lot better. So we're gonna see when I get that in the mail. We're gonna try it out and see if it's a little bit better and whatnot, because I can't stand the look of this. Even though, I mean, this is probably in between the seat, you're not really gonna be taking a look of it like from the inside and whatnot. You won't be able to see it because of the seat, but I do want it to be at least a little bit better. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to resand the whole entire thing, because I only got this one side almost completely done, not fully completely done, but since I did end up seeing like little dark spots and some light spots because of the yellow haziness of it, I'll just resand it and just wait for the new clear. So I'm going to do that real quick, and then the last thing I want to do today is work on the splitter design on my front bumper. Just get the design made out, because I can't fully complete it until I get the rods. So I'm trying to multitask here, so I apologize for the noise of the fan and the noise of the compressor, because I'm still sanding down the carbon fiber stuff right there. But while I wait for the air compressor to build up, I want to get started with the splitter. The only thing I want to do with the splitter right now is get these points, the front points, a little bit more aggressive. This is what I have right here. This basically would go right here. Show you guys right there. So as you guys can tell, that lines up perfectly right there. I'm just gonna go a little bit more aggressive down and then curve my way up. Same thing, I'll just flip this around and put this on this side. Perfect right there. I'll trace that, go down, and then it'll be the exact same thing. Just cut it all the way across. The only reason I just want to work on the front part right now and not the back side is because I kind of want to make this splitter like a under tray for the car, so I kind of get more protected from the motor on the bottom of the car, since I don't have an under tray anymore. I want to leave some of this excess, but for that I need to mount it onto the car, and for that I need the splitters so I can hold the bumper onto the frame of the car, because this bumper is pretty heavy with the bumper covers on there, and it kind of sags a little back, so I need to push it a little bit forward with the rods. So until I get the rods, we won't be cutting any of this in the back, but for now, let's get these shapes cut out. Let's get it looking a little bit more aggressive than what it is right now. So I got the template for the splitter made out, as you guys can tell, and it looks really good. I really like how it came out. It's freaking awesome. A quick update on the progress that I have right now sanding this piece right here. It's basically it was just this piece, this section right here, where it looked like it was different colors. Some were darker than others, kind of looked like a fading yellowish type look, blemishes or whatever you guys want to call it. But since I'm in the process of sanding it, all this right here that you see right here is where I'm barely touching the carbon fiber. I'm barely starting to eat through the carbon fiber, which is as far as you want to go. You don't want to sand through any more of this. Just a quick tip for you guys if you guys are working with carbon fiber. So like all this dark spot, you can still sand it a little bit lower. But where I'm having issues with the discoloring or the blushing of whatever you guys want to call it, is you sorry, if you can see right here, this divided line right here, what I've noticed is this part of the resin where I still need to sand, this section right here is where that's causing it. Right here I've already sanded all the way through to the carbon fiber to get rid of it, which it actually did get rid of it, but over here still hasn't gotten rid of it because I haven't even got to this section. But you guys can see all the way around right here where the resin's at. I don't know if it was just the mixture that I did it, or like if it didn't mix well, or whatever the issue was. it's getting taken care of now. So I just wanted to show you guys like what it was, or well, I mean, you can't even tell what it was, but you can see the difference between here all the way over here. And if I were to spray some prep spray, of course you can't see it like this, but once you flip it around, you can see that right here it's all gone, but right here you're still seeing some of that darkness and then some lightness. So as you guys can tell, it's pretty much working, sanding all the way to the carbon fiber. So now I just gotta finish up by doing this piece and we should be good. So I just finished sanding it as much as I could right here. The rest I'm not really worrying about it too much until I get the resin. I'll do the final scuff with the scuffing pad. But the only part that I really wanted to focus on was this section right here, sanding it as much as I can. It's still not 100% perfect, but it's still, the seat's still gonna be covering like this section right here anyways, but I mean, it's not 100% perfect. Watch, let me show you guys. Put some prep spray. So there's the pep spray. You can kind of see it right there, right here around this area right there. You'll be able to see it. It's not 100% perfect. I mean, once it hits the shade, like right here, you won't be able to see it. Look at that. You can't see it. So it's not really a big deal. It's just something that I kind of wanted to correct myself. But once we get the other resin, we shouldn't have any problems like that from now on. I think it's because since I mixed it wrong, I think it was personal error. Since I mixed it wrong and since it is a little yellowish, the hardener, I guess it just kept the yellowness and the blushiness of the resin, of whatever it is, whatever you guys want to call it. So at least the new resin that I got, it's going to be a lot easier to pour, because what I would have to do is I would pour that onto the scale right here and try to measure it out. And the new resin that I got, it's all pump action, so it takes 3 to 1, so it'll be 3 pumps to 1 pump hardener. So it's gonna be a lot easier to measure out, which I'm pretty psyched about. It is a little bit more expensive, like I mentioned, but this will be taken care of probably the next week. So I know that probably didn't seem like a lot to you guys of what I did, but this was what I did in 2 weeks. Mainly everything that I was focusing on was on that center console. I finished wrapping the whole entire thing, because when we first started, or how I had left it off from the last time, it was basically just this top piece, and that was it. That was all that I had done. It was just this top piece, and I was barely starting to do this piece, the side piece. My main focus, what took me along, was blending all the carbon fiber fabric together, and it looks really good. I think I'm really happy on how everything turned out, how everything has bonded together. So that took a really long time to do. The splitter, I mean, I just did it in a couple hours just to design, cut it, and I mean, that looks really good. Really happy how it came out. So like I mentioned, I know this probably not going to be a long of a video. It might be because of that carbon fiber stuff, because I did want to go and explain a little bit to you guys if you guys are ever doing carbon fiber work. That way it makes it a lot easier for you guys to kind of have some tips and tricks on doing the carbon fiber yourself. So I think that's where I'm going to end today's video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out and embrace yourself.